welcome to the video. I'm Melissa, I write books. I'm doing this intro after the fact because I realized as I was filming, I wasn't doing a ton of talking clips. So I'm going to kind of use this to take you through what this week was. So to start off, what the heck is going on? I haven't talked much about this retreat leading up to it. I think I mentioned it in a vlog the week before I went because I really didn't know what it was going to be. Let's just go back to the beginning. I don't know, sometime in the early spring, like March or something, a friend told me about this retreat. It kind of seemed a little too good to be true, to be honest. It was like a week-long, all expenses paid writing retreat in Kentucky for like fiction writers who share a Christian faith, but not necessarily people who write Christian fiction, just people who write and have a similar belief, right? There was an application where you submitted like the first, I think it was like 10,000 words or something, as well as answered a few questions just about like the intention of why you write and who you write for and like what your purpose behind your art is essentially. And I was like, might as well apply, right? It seemed great. It had really great mentorship opportunity. I couldn't really find anything online about it. So I was like, maybe I'm getting murdered. Who knows? But I honestly really didn't expect to hear much from it. And I submitted the first 10,000 words of Project Gas Station. So the book I've been querying recently. And in May, I think it was sometime in June, I got the email that I was accepted into this retreat, which was kind of shocking, to be honest. And I didn't really know much about it. And it looked like a really beautiful place. And like the food looked amazing. And it had really great like leadership. Like there was an author there who was going to be mentoring. And like, it just seemed like, why would I not go? There was I think there was 14 writers present. And I would say 5 or 6 organizers. And it was honestly unlike anything I could have expected. Like I knew what I was getting into a little bit, but I don't even really have words for how like impactful and cool and kind of surreal this whole experience was. There were some people who were published and agented. There were some people who had released who are like primarily poetry writers. And there were some people who had like had a novel in a drawer for 20 years and had raised kids and now are coming back to the book. Some people were on their first novel. Some people were in 15 novels. Like some people were career writers. Like this is what they did for their job. One guy he's like a filmmaker, like he makes documentaries and movies and stuff. And he's from Australia and he travels the world, and it's a lot of teachers, a lot of just writers. And so the thing that we all had in common was the faith element, but also we wrote adult fiction primarily. Yeah, I would say I was on the younger end of the group, which was actually really cool because it gave me a lot of perspective. I feel like I'm very much a like, go, need to get it done. Why am I not published? Get me forward, kind of person sometimes. And while I fight against that, it's hard to not be thinking about the future. But this retreat gave me a lot of perspective of like, I could pick up writing in 30 years and still have time, and just a lot of people with a lot of great perspective. Like a lot of people had written in so many different formats and had so many different types of writing experiences that it kind of opened my eyes, all the different ways that a writing career could go. And truly just the best people, just hearing people's experiences, like a lot of really well-traveled people too, people who have lived all over the world and have written all sorts of things and lived just like very different lives than me. And like all of us uniting on this like writing craft it was really cool. So on more of a tangible level, we got there on Sunday and left on Friday. And we stayed in this like beautiful historic town, Stanford, Kentucky, which is like the second oldest town in Kentucky. I don't know. There's a lot of history in Kentucky. I've never really been to the South. I was like, I think the only person from the Midwest, to be honest. There were some people from the West Coast, some people from the East Coast, one guy from Australia, and most people from like the surrounding southern states. could talk about the food alone for a 20-minute video. I could talk about the food for that long. And it was a different pace than I'm used to. So it was the structure was the first 2 days we had in the morning, we had a session. So there was an author who was sort of the mentor, who was very well established and kind of gave like a mix of craft tips, but also there were some books that we read going into it that we talked about. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail because I don't really know what the etiquette is around that. I don't want to like give away the whole retreat, obviously, but some just like really valuable craft advice, but also just like inspiration and thinking about like what it is to be an artist and like what the point of writing is. And I have so many future podcast videos are going to be based on things that we talked about, because I just like it as a person who doesn't like to learn. I mean, I do like to learn generally, and I've realized through this week that I actually do like to learn when it's something that's interesting to me and something that I actually resonate with. I feel like I don't seek out like craft advice because I feel like I've heard it all before. Everything I learned, or most of the things I learned, it's like, this is brand new information. Anyway, so we had a morning session that was like partially that, and then there was also a mentor there who has been working as an editor. Previously at a Big Five, currently at a hybrid publisher for the last like 30 years. There was another woman there who's an entrepreneur and sort of works in the nonfiction space, which was cool. And then the host couple. So the leadership was also so incredible. And it wasn't like they were up in this high mighty castle. Like we had all of our meals with them. We had a happy hour every day. Anyway, so the morning we did sessions, and then we had like an amazing lunch. And for breakfast, we went to this like cafe where the food, I can't even talk about the food, or I'll get sad that I can no longer eat it. Anyway, and then in the afternoon, there was writing time. So you could write wherever there was all of this space to write. Like in the inn we were staying, there was all these rooms you could write, but also there was this like hospitality suite with like, it's like a writer's dream. All of these like couches and desks and tables and chairs and all this beautiful outdoor area you could write. Yes. And so then in the late afternoon, like an hour before dinner, there was a happy hour. So you could go and just chat with people, and then dinner. And then usually after dinner, there was some sort of programming, but a couple of the nights it was just more writing time afterwards. But like I said, I've never been to the South, and I don't know if it was just a South thing or like the structure of this retreat. It was so like relaxed and indulgent. And I feel like I'm so used to going from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. But every meal was like an hour and a half of like really, really good conversation. Like I felt like I gelled and got to know everybody, and everyone had such a different like perspective and life experience and like industry experience and writing. It just was like the most like engaging, fulfilling conversation about writing and life. And I don't know. And some people just have the craziest stories. Like Kyle, I don't know. This man from Australia, he's lived, I don't even know. Like every time I would overhear a conversation or be in one, he'd be like, yeah, and then I was living in this other country, and I was like, so that the first 2 days were like that, where we had the session in the morning and the writing time in the afternoon. And then the second half of the week, so Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday morning was really big on the writing time. So you had 2 one-on-one or like one-on-one and group sessions that were either Wednesday, like breakout sessions essentially, that were either Wednesday or Thursday. And one of those was a 45-minute session with this author mentor who had, like, I submitted 15 pages of Project Sunshine to him prior. And so we met for 45 minutes and just talked about like specifics of the book and specific advice he had for my writing and for like my career. And like, it's very complimentary, which is like crazy to think about. And I might talk more about what we talked about in a future video because it affects where I'm at with Project Sunshine. But just that, like a 45-minute meeting with like a very successful published author, crazy. Anyway, and then we also had a breakout session where it was like a group of people just asking any publishing questions for an hour, which is just wild. But then it's not like that was the only time we had like access, or maybe you would think of that as access to those people. Like they're at every meal, they're at every happy hour. Like I'm sitting and having a little dill cucumber appetizer and talking about genre with a editor who has worked at a Big Five. What's going on? What is my life? Anyway, but when you weren't having those sessions, you just had time to write. And so I wrote about 10,000 words over the week, which is not like a crazy amount. Honestly, I'd expected to write a little more, but I also just like the environment. I feel so creatively refreshed, and I've had a few rather large revelations about my story and genre and where I'm going with the book and where I'm going with my career. And all of that will be coming out in future videos. So make sure to subscribe and like for that. They'll be coming out very soon, specifically about genre, a conversation I had with this editor about genre. And then one of the nights we went to the couple who was hosting us, who was so generous and just like the loveliest people. And she's also an author as well. We went out to their farm and we had this like beautiful sunset sort of, it wasn't really a hayride, but like that sort of tractor ride into the sunset. And the food, I know I keep talking about the food, but this peach cobbler I had, I'm going to be thinking about it for the rest of my life. Anyway, also sparkling water around every corner. The amenities, it was great. The amenities, a fridge of sparkling water everywhere you turned. The food was amazing and the service was amazing. And just like, it was such like a indulgent, relaxed experience. But sometimes I get stressed in those environments because I feel bad. Like, I'm like, I don't want you to, like, I don't like feeling like I'm like, ooh, I'm so bougie and you have to be serving me. Like, it just didn't feel like that at all. Like, it felt so warm and hospitable the whole time. And I don't know, I was nervous going in because as I've talked about at this channel before, I've been dealing with a lot of anxiety recently, and I brought so much like things to combat that, and I didn't need a single one of them. It was just such a relaxing, creatively fulfilled environment with amazing food. Anyway, we also one night had a very well-known poet come and do a poetry reading for us, which was great. Then on the last night, we all read about 700 words in a circle with a, professional editor and best-selling author. So it was a little nerve-wracking, but it was also such a supportive, great environment. So it was really cool to hear everybody's writing. There's a lot of people who are writing historical fiction or literary fiction. I think I was the only thriller writer, but am I even a thriller writer anymore? We'll get there. Stay tuned, like and subscribe. Otherwise, it was just a lot of writing time, a lot of chatting with people, just like such an inclusive, holistic, refilling experience and time. And like I can't even think of a single complaint. Like, it was so like they had accommodating, they had thought of everything, and it was all such a gift too from the people hosting this, who are just like really passionate about writing and writer spaces. And their mission and goal was to like bring like a really like holistic experience to writing retreats. And let me tell you, they succeeded. Like, you could tell that this was a retreat created by people who write. Because there was so much time and space and like just time to think and like sink into the creativity around, and also just like the insane wisdom and experience from people around too. And I made such amazing connections too. I feel like it was a good amount of time where I really got to know and like meet and know everybody who was there. And so that was, I think, probably the best thing to come out of it besides that peach cobbler. So that's where I've been the last week. And again, you're going to be sick of me talking about this because a lot, like just like the amount of wisdom, I was like in my notebook, I was like, I can't write fast enough. And to have that, and also the amount of time we had to write, and also the amazing accommodation and food, and also the great people, like usually when you go to something, like there's something lacking. Like maybe the speakers are great, but the vibe is weird. Maybe the vibe is great, but the speakers are kind of meh, Like every element of this was so thoughtfully curated. I want to go back. That is my experience at this retreat. It has really fundamentally changed, I think, the way I'm looking at how I've been writing and what I'm writing. And I will get more into that in future videos, into the specifics. But just like overall, like I didn't realize I needed something like this. I've been writing for so long now in a vacuum. And not really, because obviously I have great community here on authortube, and I have lots of writing friends, and like I do have community. So it's not like I've just been writing solitarily, but like to have an indulgent space like that, to feel that well, again, I don't know. It just was like so rejuvenating, and I feel like it's stayed that way. Like, I mean, it's only been like a day since I got back, but I feel like I'm going to carry this perspective. I think perspective is the biggest thing I'm coming away with, is that life is long. Like, your writing career is long. It doesn't all have to happen right now. And it's better that it's right and it's what you actually want to say. And there's always time. I think just like being around people with more life experience than me, who are also writers and also share a same faith as me, like that perspective is so valuable and like really what I needed right now. I feel like I've just been at a crossroads recently of, I know this is what I want to do. I know I'm proud of the books I'm writing. Like I know I'm writing well and like I'm getting better, but I've been reaching this point of like impatience and I don't know what burnout, but I think I've been nearing that too of when is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? And this was such a good perspective of like, that's not what this is about. And of course I know this, like, it's not like I've just been sitting around waiting for an agent. Like I've been like, I write for myself and I write for the story and I write for the world, but sometimes you just need to be reminded of that. And sometimes it's hard to get that reminder unless it's in such like a tangible, beautiful way. Like it was just exactly what I needed to remind myself, like, life is long. You have lots of time to write and you got to get it right. And it's okay that it's not happening right now. It'll happen when it's supposed to happen. That's where I'm at. Thank you so much for being here. If you are watching this and you were on this retreat with me, drop in the comments. I want to talk to you. I want to talk. I have so many things but just like a huge thank you to everybody who like organized this and gave this gift to us. And also to whoever selected me for this, thank you, because my gosh. I will see you so soon. Right on, right? Should I start saying that? Should I start saying right on at the end of every video? Let me know. I think I used to do that. Did I used to do that like years ago? I don't know. Somebody tell me. Okay, bye.
On the floor, looking up, wanting more. This is so unreal. I must have been wrong, 'cause your love is strong for him. Why would it not be? He's always there for you. I keep living alone. The ground left me on the floor. Hard to resist, got me looking like this, like no one before. 'Cause I must be strong, 'cause this might go on for long. 'Cause I was wrong, and he's always there for you. See, I must have been wrong, 'cause your love is strong.